As we sat at the kitchen table, drinking our rum and coke and smoking our zooty, Rick shot himself to death to our laughter and gaiety. Hello, my name is Eric. Welcome to the craziness that lives inside my head. I posted a movie I made back in 2004 called titled Forbidden Fruit. And I submitted that movie, was my first film, to the Toronto Film Festival in Toronto, Canada. And they accepted it. I wasn't in the running. They showed it as a showcase. And showcases, I think it was a weekend. It was a weekend event, but the showcase, the movies were on, I think, a Thursday night or Friday night before the main event. It wasn't part of the film festival itself, but they thought it was good enough to showcase, but not good enough to be in the festival, if you get my drift. Anyway, and it was titled Forbidden Fruit, and it kind of was written based on a character, a real person. His name was Rick. And, which, by the way, Rick was probably one of the reasons or one of the events in my life that got me to get sober, stop drinking and drugging. But I got, like I said, I got sober back in 84. I think you all know, it's 1984. And this event happened 2 months before my birthday. It was 2 months before my 32nd birthday. I was 31. It was in December. Rick was the lover of at the time, my best friend, my bestie, Robert. Robert and I hung out. We worked together. We hung out together. And I know he got involved and he moved in, Rick. Okay. But that didn't stop us from hanging together and doing everything together. But he was my good friend. Once in a while, Rick, Robert, and I would hang out at another friend's house on weekends, Tom. Tom was one of those people where you leave work Friday night to go to their house to hang out, and you drink all night. And next thing you know, it's Saturday morning. And they say, oh, let's go to breakfast, the IHOP. Go to IHOP for breakfast, and next thing you know, you go back to his apartment, and we drinking some more, and you drink. Next thing it's Saturday night. Saturday night, and the party is going, and new people coming into the apartment. We party, and next thing you know, you wake up. It's Sunday morning. They say, let's go to Central Park for a picnic. You run to the grocery store, you get your stuff, and you go get the picnic, and back to Tom's house. More drinking, more drugging. And then you wake up now and you got to go to work, half drunk. Those were the days. I was 31 at the time. So anyway, what happened was, Robert and Rick had a big argument. It was a Friday night, and Robert says to me, come on over. I need some company. And of course I said, we need company. I said, he lived closer to Tom than I did, so go to Tom's house. He said, no, I'm a little depressed. And he said, and I got Zooty here. Bring the alcohol. So when I got there, they were arguing. They live in an apartment at Washington Heights, off of Broadway. And they were arguing. Fierce arguing. I mean, it was really fierce. And finally, he kicked Rick out, threw some stuff out, and pushed him out the door and locked the door. So we went to our drinking and drugging and how you say, smoking our zooty. And just before we lit the zooty, we're just about to light it, there was a banging on the door. So Robert goes to the door. He looks at the peephole. He goes, oh my God, put that away. I said, what's going on? He goes, it's the fire department. I said, fire department? So anyway, I put the stuff away in the closet, in the kitchen cabinet, because we're in the kitchen. And the front door was right there in the kitchen. So I put that away right quick. He opened the door, and the fireman wants to know that he got a report that there was a fire in the apartment. And we looked at it. I said, no, we didn't report no fire. And then behind him, Rick was, the stairway was behind him. It was one of the three floor walk up. So the stairway was behind him. And Rick was coming up the stairs, and Rick admitted that he called the fire department. And the fire department was pissed. So why you go to the fire department? You know, you could be arrested. That's a false alarm. Blah, blah, blah. So Rick was crying. He said, I got kicked out. I need to get my clothes. I got no place to go. Blah, blah, blah. And then. So the fire department says, listen, work it out. But don't call the fire department. I'm going to let you go this time. Because he could write a ticket or get him in trouble. So being it, Robert took him back in. So anyway, Rick and I and Robert, we started drinking and smoking zooty. And of course, you know what happened. The music is blaring. And it's 3 o'clock in the morning. And the music is blaring. They started arguing again. This time it was worse because now we lick it up and our zooty. And you know how that is when you really high and you start an argument, you get loud and everything. And I think one of his neighbors was banging on the floor, banging on the wall to turn the music down and one thing. So Robert kicked him out again. And Robert said, this time it's going to stay. He goes, I got no place. Robert told me, get your stuff, put it in the shopping bag, and get the hell on out. So he went into the bedroom. We was in the kitchen, drinking more, blasting the music. The neighbors were banging on the wall to turn the music down. But we were high. And all of a sudden, we heard a noise. Now, at the time, the noise sounds to me, because Robert had a bookcase in the bedroom, and Rick was just stoned out of his mind. So we thought that Rick fell and knocked the bookcase off. So we was laughing and laughing. Oh, look, Rick, you must be so drunk. So then Robert go in there, and he goes. Robert starts screaming. I don't know what Robert. At first, I thought Robert was screaming for me to get out, but it was a different kind of scream. So I go in there to see what's going on, and as I get into the room, Robert was on top of Rick, trying to revive Rick, I guess. Rick had the gun in his hand, and the blood coming out of his eyes. He shot himself in the head. And I said, I was furious. I was furious with Robert. And the reason why I was furious with Robert, because of the background that he told me about Rick. I was a roommate. Before Robert moved Rick in, I was Robert's roommate. And Robert was staying with his mother on weekends. And I would stay there in the apartment on weekdays. And then on weekends, I would stay at my dad's place. You know how it is, because Robert wants to bring his boys up to his apartment. And then Robert couldn't afford the rent, so he wanted to split the rent up. But anyway, to make a long story short, Robert had a gun. And he told me where the gun was. He said the gun, listen to this. He said the gun was under the mattress and the bullets were in the closet. And I said to Robert, well, Robert, because he lived on the second floor and there was a fire escape. And the window to the bedroom was right there by the fire escape. And being as New York City, I don't know if you heard this, back there in the 70s, yes, there was kicking in, people was breaking into people's apartments by the fire escape. He didn't have any gates on it. So anyway, and I told him, I said, well, Robert, by the time I go to the closet, get the gun, go to the closet, and put the bullets in, the person would be in the house already. And then that'll be it. So then when I moved out, I got my own place. I got a room because I couldn't take it anymore with Robert. Robert was two crazy people can't live together. So I got my own room, and that's where he met Rick, and they became lovers. And he moved Rick in, and he used to tell me stories how Rick would take the gun and go on the roof target practicing. And I said to Robert, Robert, you got to take that gun away from Rick. I said, Rick shouldn't even have that gun. I said, and you know, it's against the law to have a gun in New York City and shooting it too on the roof. Rick was crazy. So when I went in that room and I saw what happened with the gun in Rick's hand and Rick shot himself in the head, I guess the fact that he couldn't take Robert pushing him out, kicking him out because he had no place to go. I just went off. I just went off. I'm yelling at. I blamed everything on Robert. It's all your fault. It's all your fault. Now let me tell you something. There's more to this story, because I took the gun out of Rick's hand and I threw it in the closet, and I said we gotta take Rick and take the body, Rick's body, and throw it in the Hudson River. The Hudson River was only like a block and a half away. So Robert, I think Robert slapped me. Girl, get it together. You crazy? We didn't kill Rick. Rick killed himself. We're not gonna get in trouble. Rick killed himself. I'm gonna call. He had a phone. He said, I'm gonna call the police. He called the police, and he said, put that gun back in his hand. So I put the gun back in his hand. He called the police. We had to turn the fan on to clear out the zooty smoke, and we had to put the bottles away, turn down the radio, turn off the music. We did everything right quick before the police got there. So the cops got there, and I would say, well, that's that. Well, that wasn't it. We were being interrogated, because the police got there first. They called the 911. 911, not 911, you mean the ambulance. The ambulance came. Rick was dead. By the time the ambulance came, Rick was dead. But Rick was dead when he killed himself. He was dead. I think it was instant death. So anyway, we got interrogated. Two detectives came. One detective took me out into the hallway, and the other detective stayed with Robert. And then the detective kept asking me questions, Well, one interesting question, my detective asked me, what hand was the gun in? And I don't know. I said, right hand. Isn't most people right-handed? So I said, right hand. So anyway, then after he took my story, he took Robert's story. Robert detective took his story. They switched. So Robert's detective came out in the hallway to interrogate me. My detective went into the apartment to interrogate Robert. And same story, same answer, same questions. So anyway, so they got together outside in the hallway. I went back in the apartment. And I was dying for a drink. And it's interesting when you're dying for a drink and dying for a smoke, and you know where it is, but you can't touch it. So anyway, so the two detectives came back in the apartment and said to me that I was under arrest. It says, you're under arrest. I said, arrest for what? You're under arrest for killing Rick for Robert. I bust out laughing. Could you imagine? I was already drunk. I was bust out laughing, and I just laughed and laughed and laughed. And I said to them, you got it all wrong. If I'm going to kill anybody, I'll kill that bitch Robert for Rick. Rick was the man. Robert was the bitch. Like that. So after I said that and I was laughing, they said, okay. They said they did was tested it out to see if we really had anything to do with it. But they claimed, they put it down, it was a suicide. Rick committed suicide. And the thing is, after that, I got to listening to Robert. I'm going to tell you something, by the way. Rick killed himself like 3 o'clock in the morning. And Robert, that was a weekday because we went to work the next day. But Robert didn't go to work. I went to work. And I called his house around, I get off at 4. And Robert had told me that they had just came to take the body out of the apartment. It was a long time. I thought it was unusual. I don't know if that's the protocol. But that Rick's body stayed in the apartment all day until they got the body and took it to the morgue. So I'm beginning to talk to Robert because I didn't know anything about Rick. That was his level. I didn't know anything. Only time I knew about Rick is when we go to the parties and he's drunk, I'm drunk, we're all drunk. So it was Robert who said that he had to call Rick's sister. And I didn't know Rick had brothers and sisters. I didn't know the story of Rick's life. And it was a very tragic story. It seems that Rick was half German and half black. And his father was stationed in Germany, and he had, I think, close to 5 brothers and sisters. And they moved to United States. When they moved to the United States, Rich was still a child. And they moved to the United States. And the way Robert told the story, that when Rick's father got it set up with a house and everything in the United States, his mother left him. And she became a showgirl in Las Vegas. That's how Robert described it. It appeared that she just wanted to get out of Germany. She only married his father just to become a United States citizen. Once she got to the United States, she left him. And he went to see his mother as an adult to Vegas to see his mother, and she didn't want anything to do with him. And Robert said that's when he got very depressed. That's when he was going on the roof shooting the gun, target practicing. And it seemed sad that after I heard all that from Robert, I said to Robert, well, he was that depressed, maybe. And I said, you set it off by kicking him out. He had no place to go. Where was he going to go? I don't know anything. He didn't say anything about his father and his brothers and sisters, but where was he going to go? He wanted to be with his mother, but she didn't want nothing to do with him. So he was depressed. And he committed suicide. Now, why he committed suicide? I mean, I guess he was desperate, didn't want to be bothered, live anymore, I guess. I didn't know all this because when you see somebody constantly high, constantly drinking, constantly getting high, Robert too, all of us, So after he told the story to me, I couldn't sleep. I used to have nightmares of that scene of seeing the blood coming out of Rick's eyes. Because he shot himself in the head. And I don't know if the bullet came out the other way, but I know the blood was just dripping down at both his eyes, just dripping. And that scene stayed with me. I couldn't sleep at night. It got to the point that I was drinking a half a gallon of rum a day. I probably still have a very high tolerance of alcohol. It takes a lot of alcohol to get behind. God forbid, but the Zooty. I think I need 2 of those just to get a buzz. So anyway, that one of the things that got me into the rehab. That and other things. If you heard the story, I went crazy one night and found myself tied to the bed at Bellevue. And after that scene, I went to a rehab and got sober, and I've been sober since. So that's what that's what Forbidden Fruit is about. It's about Rick, and it's a mixture of a lot of stuff. I think in this, if you've seen the movie, I had it a little bit backwards. I had the son come to see the father, and the father didn't want anything to do with him. In real life, Rick went to see his mother, and his mother didn't want anything to do with him. So, anyway, thank you for listening to The Craziness That Lives Inside my head. I hope you enjoy the movie. If you haven't, see the movie. It's called Forbidden Fruit. And I was told by friends that I should tell people at the end of my spiel to subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much.